We are talking with Dave Golikoff, senior sports columnist for AskMan.com, and Scott Kellen from SixCentSports.com, previewing Week 16 in the NFL here on the SBR TV NFL Experts Roundtable. All right, now we're going to take a look at the Sunday night game, which is Chicago at Green Bay. The Bears, of course, are awful. They're having all kinds of injuries and personnel problems, too many. We won't even discuss them all. We know about all of them. Green Bay, of course, lost last week, ruining their perfect season. If San Francisco loses, then they clinch first place in the conference, so this game will mean nothing then. If San Francisco wins, then Green Bay will only have to get a win, not necessarily at all a cover of their 13-point favorite spread here. The Packers, though, they are also having personnel issues. They're having a lot of issues on the offensive line with injuries, and Rodgers took a bunch of hits last week. The line, again, is Green Bay minus 13, total of 44. Maybe I'd lean to the under. I'm not sure, though. Scott Kellen, you always have a great read on Green Bay games. What's your take on these lines?
Yeah, I think you hit it right on the head there, okay. Peter. I like the under in this game. I'm usually an over player. This would be actually the one play I've played under this year. Mm-hmm. The Bears still have a great defense, and I just mentioned a little bit ago one of the reasons I liked Kansas City last week, other than the fact they were finally getting Orton back. Kansas City's defense is pretty good, and they could hold the Packers down a little bit. They actually did a lot better than what I thought they were going to do. And I think you got the same scenario here with Chicago. Chicago's been brutal on offense, and the Bears' defense is still playing outstanding defense, and I think they're going to wreak a lot of havoc on the Packers here. They lost Brian Bulaga last week, who was one of their best offensive linemen. They still have Sitton and Scott Wells, who are playing well, but Marshall Newhouse is getting beat up on the other side, and I think Julius Peppers will create a long day for him as well. So I think the Packers are going to struggle to move the ball here a little bit, and they may even try to run the ball a little bit more to protect Aaron Rodgers a little bit because they aren't going to have that same protection. I make the number 43, but those are seasonal stats. If I just look at the last 4 weeks, when Haney started playing, Forte obviously has been out a couple weeks, then I make the number closer to about 39. So I think there's some value here. And Chicago has played tough in Green Bay since Lovie Smith got there. Other than losing 37-3 back in 2009, Lovie Smith's teams have held Green Bay to 21 or less points in Green Bay. So I think they will put forth another good defensive effort here. And also, I'm going to take a look at Chicago. I don't know if I can play them or not. It's a lot of points. But divisional double-digit favorites coming off a loss like this are not good situations to be in. So actually, Chicago qualifies in a pretty good situation. I don't know if I want to play the Bears yet or not, but I'm definitely going to take a very hard look at the under in this game.
All right, great insights. Dave Golikoff from AskMen.com. What do you have to say about these lines?
Well, I agree with a lot of the good information that Scott provided, but hey, why wouldn't you take the Bears? I mean, we just saw what happened to Green Bay in Kansas City last week with a journeyman quarterback, Kyle Orton, playing in a system for his second game. He moved the ball up and down the field on Green Bay, and I believe it or not, I wouldn't be surprised if the Chicago Bears did it too. I know that sounds crazy, but realistically nowadays the Packers are getting no pressure on the quarterback, on the offensive line. You heard Scott, he talked about the injuries. Marshall Newhouse also out this week. So you got Clifton out, you got Newhouse out, you got Bulaga out. We're talking 3 tackles, and I'm sure I'm missing a couple of guards that are also injured. We're talking like 3rd or 4th stringers are going to be playing on this offensive line. It's not that big of a deal for Green Bay because they train these guys, they rotate these guys in and out, but it's still a lot for any team to lose. And the Chicago Bears do have a very good defensive line. On offense, the Bears, hey, why won't they move the ball? I mean, if you're not going to pressure NFL quarterbacks, they can pass the ball, they can find the open receivers. And I think you'll see the Bears move the ball a little bit. Not so sure about the under, but I do like the Bears with all the points.
Yeah, you guys are making some compelling arguments. I'm sort of leaning Chicago and the under now because you got to think that Green Bay, no matter what happens in the San Francisco game, but especially if they lose, is going to want to play a conservative game plan and just protect Aaron Rodgers as much as they can. Try to get a win, but not necessarily blowout.